Hey guys, welcome to the Touchdown Table. I'm Ryan, that's Tyler, that's Jordan. And in this video, we're going to talk about some of the rookies that really stood out this past regular season. Some of them are still playing in the playoffs, but there were really a lot of guys that really, caught our attention and caught, fans across the league, their attention. Some, really good draft picks, some steals, some guys that went in the later rounds that actually made a bigger impact than expected in year one. So we're going to talk about a lot of guys that really had a impressive showing in year one.
And let's just start with the obvious ones because these are the two that this year are up for Rookie of the Year. It's almost undoubtedly going to be one of them. We've had our debates at this table and actually on our podcast. If you haven't checked that out, go check it out. The Touchdown Table podcast. You can find it on Spotify and virtually anywhere else you can find podcasts. Go check that out if you want to go into more detail with your friends sitting here at the table today. Plus one more friend that we have join us for the podcast. But as I was saying, the two Offensive Rookie of the Year candidates, Justin Herbert of the Chargers and Justin Jefferson of the Vikings. Jefferson is a wide receiver and Herbert is a quarterback. If you clicked on this video, you probably already knew that. But they have both had outstanding years, two different positions, so it could be hard to compare. But Herbert didn't start week one, then he was thrown in week two, and he started playing really good right away, set records for the most passing touchdowns ever in the NFL as a rookie, and that was with him missing the first game. And then Justin Jefferson setting records as well for having the most receiving yards as a rookie in NFL history. So two records set by those two players. They're both great. Whichever one wins the award will definitely have a great resume behind it, and they both have had fantastic seasons.
Yeah, I mean that's been the two obvious ones as you mentioned beforehand. They've both been so well. It seems like they've both had so much experience in the NFL, and to me, Justin Herbert was a surprise to see him play as well as he did off the bat. Mostly because now that I'm self-evaluating and where I was before last year's draft, it feels like that Oregon offense just was not meant for him, and we're starting to see him be able to sprout in the NFL because he's been put into a better offense that works better for him. He's got that great arm. We knew he had the arm talent going into it. He's been more accurate. He can go on the run now. I mean, he's able to do that in college as well. But we're really all seeing to culminate with Justin Herbert. And same thing with the other Justin Jefferson. He was a guy that had a high upside in the draft, and we're seeing it in a big way, filling in for Stephon Diggs like he never left.
Yeah, and I think you made a great point mentioning how, Jefferson was essentially, not directly, but in a way traded for Diggs because that was the pick from that trade. So he was essentially the replacement. And, he filled the shoes very well. He's going to be a fan favorite there for a long time. Really good catch radius, downfield threat, can run any route you need him to run. I was high on him, but I did not expect him to be as good as he is, where he is in contention for the Offensive Rookie of the Year. And like what we said about Herbert, I was high on him before the draft. I had him as my number 2 quarterback. I stand by that. I mean, he didn't even look like a rookie. He looked, confident and poised, led his team to wins when he could. He put his team, and I've said this before on videos and I believe in our podcast, many times he's put his team in a position to win, but either there was a dumb mistake or the defense had a meltdown or the Chargers just
Herbert's
had
had his share of like one dumb play per
yeah,
game
but
that could cost him.
he's a human being.
As
He's
the
a human
season
being.
went on,
Yeah.
it started to get more limited and limited
Yeah,
as to what he
absolutely.
did, and they went on a win streak at the end of the season, proving that.
Absolutely, and they had chances to beat Kansas City the first time. They had chances to beat New Orleans. They had chances to beat Denver the first time. They were right there so many times, and more often than not, it's not really Herbert's fault that they lose. So this is a guy that should be really proud of his rookie year. And I know the Chargers are going to have a new coach in there, but I mean, I still feel awfully good about Justin Herbert, and I think that Chargers fans have reasons to be optimistic for sure.
Yeah, Ryan, you said Herbert was your number 2 quarterback coming into this year. Your number 1 and all of our number 1 quarterback coming into this year was Mr. Joe Burrow. Of course, he went down with the injury, but we of course have to mention his name because he was playing very well with the Bengals before his injury. Didn't have the greatest supporting squad. He had some decent receivers, and Joe Mixon was in and out, but he played very well. I think that next year he's going to come back with a vengeance. He's going to be exciting. And it's gonna kind of look like him being a rookie again. Even though we saw some of him, even though we're used to him being in the NFL at this point, he still has stuff to prove. He did some great stuff early in this season. Obviously, can't win the Offensive Rookie of the Year or anything because he didn't finish the season. But I think if he finished the season, he is right in contention with these two guys.
Yeah, I like the Joe Burrow mention there. I think that you look at what he was able to do, even with the ridiculous amount of his dropbacks that he was under pressure. I mean, the Bengals, the receivers are there. We don't know if AJ Green will be back next year, but there's still some promise there. You felt like even though the 2 years with Zach Taylor as the head coach haven't gone well, you still feel like the potential is still there. You feel, that,
They're
the
getting
building
close.
blocks are in place, and that even though the record doesn't look good under Zach Taylor, I don't think it's that much of his fault. But anyway,
Remember, this team played good down the stretch without
Yeah.
Burrow, so
Yeah.
they showed flashes of potential.
yeah, and we'll see, what that offense looks like. But with Burrow, I think if the Bengals give him more time to throw, I mean, we're going to see the best Burrow we could see, because I don't think we have seen it yet, because he's been under duress so much, but still, he's, played very well, and if he stayed healthy, he'd be in this Offensive Rookie of the Year conversation, most likely.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are right. You guys have really hit on it well. And Joe Burrow, without his injury, Jordan said it best. He was probably the third guy who would throw in this conversation for Offensive Rookie of the Year. Could I say that for sure? No, but he was playing well with a team that didn't have much around him when he was getting sacked on every single play, similar to Justin Herbert. So both those guys had some issues with their offensive line, but still made things work. Those are like the top guys on offense. Now let's talk about that top dog on defense, and that is clearly Chase Young. Everyone expected it coming into this season. He was a menace at Ohio State, and it has not changed with his time with the Washington football team, bringing them to a playoff appearance. Helping. It wasn't just him single-handedly, but
It was a big part of it.
Yeah. And they're a defensive-minded team. The defense was the strength of their team that helped them, albeit in a bad division, get to the playoffs. Because when you think about Washington, when you're game planning against them, you had to think about guys like Chase Young, Montez Sweat, Deron Payne. That whole front seven, really, you had to think about. So I think Chase Young just added a new element to that. And, we thought this could be, a really rough season for Washington. It turned out, 7-9, but, playoff team.
Yeah.
Yeah, and 7.5 sacks for him. He didn't play in every single game either.
Yeah.
4 forced
Scored a
fumbles.
touchdown, too.
That's tied for the third most forced fumbles in the league. For
Yeah,
the
pretty
rookie.
impressive.
32 solo tackles. I mean, once again, you consider the injury, and it's still very impressive what he's done. I would assume he would win Defensive Rookie of the Year. I
Yeah.
think he won Defensive Player and Rookie of the Month for December, I'm pretty sure.
Pretty impressive. Yeah,
So-
I think we all expect him to be Defensive Rookie of the Year for sure.
Yeah, I think so. Let's talk about some
Oh, here we
offensive
go.
linemen
Oh,
now.
okay.
I'll get to
Yeah.
my guy later. Don't
Yeah.
you worry, Jordan.
Okay.
I just want to throw out a couple of names for the linemen that have been pretty good this year, and a lot of them are who you would expect. Mekhi Becton up there, the big
Yeah.
man for the Jets, even though they haven't been
They need
as
like
good.
4 more of him.
Yes. Tristan Wurst for the Buccaneers. He was a guy that one of my favorite linemen coming out of the draft. I think I actually ranked him at 1. Mike Onwenu was a surprise for the Patriots. That was a later round draft pick who has been
That's how it
playing
usually
really
works
well.
for the Patriots.
Yeah, Jedrick Wills, another first rounder. We expect nothing less from him. Damien Lewis was another one for the Seattle
Also,
Seahawks. Who
to
made
jump
a
back
big
to
impact.
Jedrick
Andrew
Wills.
Thomas.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Commercial game
Yes.
on point.
Yeah,
Jedrick.
getting into commercials in your rookie year. Yeah, he's done well. That whole Browns O line, I think. I know this is a rookie video. I don't want to take credit away from him. Jedrick Wills has done a great job, but that Browns offensive line, I think, has done a great job, and especially allowing them to be the run first team that they are. Continue.
And Andrew Thomas has played well as well. Not as good as the other guys that I mentioned
He
before
caught a
him.
2-point conversion though.
He did do that. So he's got that going for him.
Yeah.
Those are the linemen. You always got to throw out the linemen. And I'll let you guys pick someone else to talk about because I got a guy that my eyes are set on that I'll be talking about. Don't worry.
Well, I guess I'll jump in and name 2 more offensive players. Actually, I'll name 2 more offensive players. So, number 1, I want to talk about Jonathan Taylor, especially down the stretch. He is a reason that the Colts got into the playoffs because they were able to add that second element. Now, we're filming this in advance to the playoff games that happened this weekend, so I can't tell you or not if he won. I can't tell you or not how good his team did. But I'm just saying he's had a great season so far. Got over 1,000 yards. I believe he was the 3rd leading rusher in the league, which is quite... No, it wasn't. He was up there, though.
James Robinson, right? Is that who we're
I
talking
thought
about?
Taylor.
Oh, Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor, I think,
He was up
was 5.
5?
Yeah.
Okay.
If I'm
Well, I
not
know
mistaken.
he's in the 1,000 club. I know that for sure. So he had a great
Maybe
season.
it was 3.
Early in the season, Marlon Mack went down. That opened up some more opportunities for him. Then he had that touch battle with Hines and with everyone else in that backfield with Wilkins. And eventually he just started to have the hot hand. And down the stretch of the season, he was scoring like twice a week. He was breaking out so many big runs. Just so strong. If you're a fan of Good Morning Football, which I am, we all are, they have a segment with the toughest runs. And he was on there basically every single week. He didn't win until week 17, so good job for you, Jonathan Taylor. You've had a great season. Also, I'm talking about running backs. Just got to mention Clyde. Not as good as this season, but Clyde Edwards-Helaire, watch out for him in the future. Just the Chiefs scheme kind of game plans him out a little bit sometimes, but he's a phenomenal running back. And then one more I want to talk about. We could talk about James Robinson too, but Chase Claypool, I'll throw it over to you guys for him.
Yeah, but before we get to Chase Claypool, I do want to mention Jonathan Taylor was the third. I had the third most rushing yards this year. And James Robinson and David Montgomery were both tied for fifth. So I don't know.
Exact same
I don't know which one guessed. Yeah, they both had 1,070
Gotta get
yards.
to the feet now.
So, yeah, seriously. But
Hey, not Robinson. Montgomery will get more, unless he gets 0 yards in the playoff game.
That's true.
no, I would sure hope so.
Well, that's gonna happen.
You already know. Hope
yeah,
he
you
does.
already know.
Yeah. Anyways, so with Chase Claypool, you talked about it. I think I would be someone who should start us off with that because I was a guy that really
That's why I
into
threw
the
it over
draft. I know exactly. I was not a guy who was extremely high on him, and then after the draft, I kind of like looked back on it, and I'm like, I think the Steelers really got a steal here. And
Was that a joke?
What?
Was that a joke?
No, but that would have been a good one if I was trying to do it.
Oh, okay.
So I picked him in the last round of my fantasy
I'm always
draft
right.
because I knew I was going to be able to get him. And it paid off for me, except for the last couple of weeks when they didn't throw it to him for some reason. But you saw, that fourth down conversion against
17,
the
maybe.
Browns. He can make the contested catches. He's a good deep threat. Ben Roethlisberger liked to throw it deep to him all season long. He can run a plethora of routes. There's so much he can do. There's so many good wide receivers we could talk about.
Yeah, every
and on
rookie
and
wide
on.
receiver feels like
Yeah,
he's really good.
seriously,
Like
it
Jefferson, Lamb,
What about
Ayuk.
Jared
What?
Judy.
Rager?
Well, he was hurt a lot, and the Eagles, at least right now, looks like they made a mistake with that pick. But he has potential. I mean, we can't
We can't rule him out
We
yet.
can't write a guy off after 1 year. I always think that people are ridiculous when they say he's a bust after 1 year, unless it's like really, really, really bad. But yeah, it feels like a lot of rookie receivers, and some of them that we mentioned, and some of them that we didn't mention.
You mentioned Ayuk, by the way.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
said Ayuk. Yeah, I mean, really.
And I mentioned Jared Judy. I just want to mention it again.
Yeah, he had a drop problem one game, but I think.
I think he had like 10 drops in the game
Yeah.
or something.
But yeah, overall, he
Or
was
5 drops maybe. It was
Yeah.
not 10.
Definitely wasn't 10.
Yeah,
I
I
think
think it
he
was
had
5.
10 targets in the game.
Yeah, if you had 5 drops, I don't think you're getting 10 targets.
Yeah, I sure hope not. But now let's
Oh,
talk
you're
about,
getting
let's go
10
back
points.
to defense again. We just talked about, we went positionally. Let's keep it that way because there have been some good safeties this year.
Oh, here we go.
And I'll start with the one that you guys have been waiting for me to talk about. I don't
I'm
think he's
waiting
been the
is-
best safety this year. I gotta be honest and look at it. I'll say it right now. Jeremy Chin has looked like the best safety. But to me, Antoine Winfield Jr., a guy that if you watch this channel, I was higher on him than most of the players in the draft. I did not put him like all the way at the top of my big board, but he's one of probably top 7 rookies this year, looking at it in total. So maybe I was a bit too high on him, but he's been able to do so much.
He's a bit too low, you meant to say.
Too low on him. That's right. But hold on, I'll pull up his stats right here. 64 solo tackles for him in just his rookie year. I mean, he's all over the field. It seems like it's tough to get past him. He didn't miss many tackles from what I saw, and I always paid attention to him every time I was watching Buccaneers games or highlights. He had the 2 forced fumbles, an interception, then he almost had that touchdown in that last game that got called back because
I'll tell
his
the
knee was
story.
down. But he's been really good and a guy that has lived up to my expectations even more than I had hoped. But honestly, this is just about as good as I thought he would be, and I think it's going to continue on.
Yeah, I was high on him as well. Not quite as high on you, but I had him as the first safety in my mock as well. I think did you have him as your number 1 safety? I don't remember.
I did not, but yeah.
Okay, that's
He was up
okay.
there, though.
But yeah, no, I had him.
I
I
got
think.
McKinney in front of him.
Okay, yeah. I mean, hasn't played much, but yeah, Winfield's been doing very good. And actually, if you were watching the Buccaneers Falcons game in Week 17, I was just flipping around on the Sunday ticket. I happened to be watching that game, and there's this supposed strip sack fumble that Winfield, it looked like, took it for a touchdown. They ruled it a touchdown on the field, and then I text him saying, "Hey, Winfield scored a touchdown," and he's like, "Send me the play," and then up there reviewing the touchdown, and it looked like. He was down, which he was down, but I mean, it kind of sucked for Tyler.
He just got me so excited.
He was very excited, but it's okay. It was still a good play by him, still a recovered fumbles, and yeah, he has had a great rookie year for sure, and it looks like the Bucs got a steal for sure. I mean, we all expected him to go higher than he did. I mean, you wanted the Bears to take him 2 picks in front of the Bucs. Back, I have the video of your reaction.
And the
to the Bears
knock on him
passing
was
him.
his height, but
yeah, that's not an issue.
just because
Yeah.
even though he was small,
For
he
a
had
safety,
he had
you
the
really
most
don't have
picks
to
in
be
college
that
football
tall.
last year.
Yeah, remember when he stopped the 2-point conversion against the Giants and he wasn't even like really looking? It just like hit his butt.
That was not a skill play. That was more of a
Hey,
luck play,
positioning. He to an
but
extent.
He did enough, but
and he didn't pass
if the
interference.
throw
He
is
almost
better-
did, but he didn't.
the throw should have been better.
They're
But he
playing
did.
Daniel Jones.
It's true. But just because you're playing Daniel Jones does not mean you play down to him.
No,
But I'm just saying, it's still good
the Vikings
stuff.
would do that.
I respect what he's done, and as I said, the height was an issue coming into the NFL, and so far he's shown that to not be an issue. He's a ball hawk.
We talked a lot about Antoine Winfield Jr. just because I've liked him so much for almost a year now, which is weird to be thinking we're almost back to draft season.
I'm ready.
But there's other two guys. There's other two safeties that have stood out a lot. I mentioned Jeremy Chin before. He was the best safety this year, probably the second best defensive player this year. He scored 2 touchdowns. He had 2 forced fumbles.
In the same game, by the way.
And 68 solo tackles, so just 4 more than Antoine Winfield had. And then Julian Blackman for the Colts was a nice surprise.
I liked him too.
To be sure, or it was a surprise to be sure, but a welcome one to quote Star Wars. But there's just some defensive players where it wasn't like we saw a lot of great defensive players. That was more towards the offense, but there's still plenty of bright futures ahead for these defensive rookies. And I mean, now we're heading into their second year, I guess. So.
Yep. So I mean, I'm sure we missed some people. Oh, I got 2 more to name. I got 2 running backs in Antonio Gibson.
Oh yeah.
And then J.K. Dobbins deserves a mention as well because he finished off the season very well.
Yeah, he kind of became their number 1 running back. It felt like down the stretch when it wasn't always like that.
And so I might be missing more people. I'm sure there's someone that you think maybe on your team that did some really good stuff. Darnell Mooney, I got to mention him as well. Bears wide receiver. He's done some good stuff too, just to throw my Bears into the mix. But we're probably missing people. Like the thing that reminded me of Mooney was I was going to say, if there's anyone on your team that we missed, put it in the comments below. And, just real quick here, let me pull this out. And I'm gonna do Tyler's job for him. I'm sure he'll do it, but just listen to this.
Please subscribe!
You had that ready, didn't you?
I did.
Was that like, you knew you were going to do that going into the video, or did you just kind of...
I'm going to be honest with you. Yes, I did.
Oh!
All right. You know what? I'll respect the effort you put in to do that. And I'm not going to scream like I did in that Stereotypes video, which go check that out, by the way. It's on our channel. Pretty funny. But really do what Jordan said to do. If we missed out on a guy, I'm sure that was just us forgetting to talk about him. You guys let us know, and I'm sure you'll get a response saying, oops, or yes, he definitely deserved to be on this in this video. So just let us know. Let us know what you thought about the people we talked about.
Everything at this point.
And make sure to like this video. Subscribe, as it said in there. Subscribe to our channel, the notification bell. Comment below. Go check out our Instagram and our podcast. It's called The Touchdown Table for both of those.
Touchdown Table podcast for the podcast.
Well, yeah, but it's just called The Touchdown Table.
Yeah.
Anyways,
that's true.
I think that's all I need to say. This is a good video from all of us.
Yep.
A great ending to it as well. So with that, we will see you guys later.
See ya.